Good morning, nation. John here. Can I get that old 5x5, please? If we're 5x5. Hey, if we're not 5x5, please don't say 5x5. I gotta know here. Thank y'all very much for that. How's everybody doing? We made it through another week here in Build Back America, and it's getting nasty. Ahoy, Mike. What's going on? Thank y'all to the moderators for being here and doing what you do. Because it's going to get a little hectic in here later on today, I think. This is the first of 2 live streams today. If you're on Patreon or in the coffee club, we're going to be doing another one probably before lunch because I can't remember whether or not Rudy streams at lunchtime. I can't remember. I know he does on one today, so it'll be around 11ish, so we can squeeze that one in. Kelly Rodolph first in the house this morning. Congrats on that. Thank y'all for being here as always and hitting subscribe and all that jazz. Who is in the house? Tammy Duckworth. I love all my Beaverine family. Thank you very much for that comment. Dynamite. What's up, brother? Billy Rose. Main man, Michael G. East Texas. Kevin's up in the house. Misty, Scarlet Prepper. Good morning. Gen X, there he is. Yeah. Gen X, we're going to be talking about jobs a little later as well. The dude's here. Handy Prepper, good morning, ma'am. Heathen's up in here. Mike, Chad, good morning, Florida man. Chad's flying. Rebecca, good morning. Flint, what's up, brother? Going healed. Sean is up in here. We're the Resistance Prepping. Hunter Moon, good morning. Guttermouth Granny. Jamie Gibbs. UT Vol fan, Paradise Acres. Okay. So we're going to be talking about 5 things that that I would have personally done differently if I could go back and start prepping this morning. 5 mistakes that I made. I mean, we all make mistakes, and they should, we should learn from these mistakes. I'll give you 2 examples. The first was I went fishing with James and Jack one weekend, and I got my fishing kit with me, and I had all kinds of lures and sinkers and all this stuff, extra line, and I didn't have enough hooks. Hooks are like a know-nothing item in fishing, one of the cheapest items you can find, and I'm like, "How did I not bring enough hooks?" And I would have known this if I would have checked it, every so often, but I didn't. It had just been sitting there for a while. The other was the foldable saw. Many of y'all know that. I did a pack out video before we went camping, showing everybody what I was taking personally. And I laid the foldable saw down and forgot to put it back in the bag. And that was a total nightmare when we went camping. But I'm going to ask the chat before I give you my list right here. Y'all can't see it. There you go. Before I go over my top 5 list of mistakes that I've made, what are some mistakes that you've made as a prepper that you wish you could go back and change? I better check my hooks. Yeah, y'all check y'all's hooks if you fish. Well, I mean, I don't fish on the regular, but every several weeks we'll go fishing, and it's just something it's sit there in the corner, honestly, and I hadn't checked the tackle box. Inventory. You ate your preps, Mike says. Organization. Oh yeah, that's on mine. But I'm going to expand on it a little bit. Not starting sooner. That is an excellent one, UT Ball fan. Carrying too much in my bug out bag. Yes, that's a great one. Move to New Jersey. Lord Eagle said I moved to New Jersey. I want a mulligan on that. Not getting fit enough. There you go. Testing my preps. Or a lot of people are saying organized. I'm so glad to hear that. That I wasn't the only one. Buried buckets without inventorying them first. Enough said. Charging purchases. Grace Hill Granny, that's an excellent one. Credit has come back to haunt a lot of people, especially with the pandemic and then now what I believe is a recession. Arkansas in the house. What's going on, Mark? There's a few other Arkansasians, I guess that's what you call it. Um, I don't really know. Folks from Arkansas are in the chat. I don't know what they call themselves, like North Carolinians. Acquired too much debt. Yeah, there you go. So here's my 5, and I'll explain each one. So the first thing I wish I could go back and change is no fancy gear. So now I'm at the point where I get a lot of gear sent to me, companies like BattleBox and stuff like that. They'll send me gear. So it's not really costing me anything. But when I first got started, I started off by reading about it. My friend Marcus hounded me for years and years. I got caught. I started reading, and magazines were popular for me. I just picked them up. The local Walmart sold them and stuff like that. They're at least 2 mainstream, magazines that I'm aware of. There may be more, but I would pick this stuff up, and there was a lot of fancy gear in there. And so as a newbie, I bid on a lot of the fancy gear, and what I realized was, then when we went camping, I either didn't have room for a lot of this stuff, or I looked at it and I said, "Man, I'm not gonna use this on the camping trip." It's just sitting here. It's a piece of gear that I bought when I could have bought something else, prepping related that would have, made a lot more sense. So that's the first mistake that I made. The second, focus more, and this plays into the organization you are talking about. Focus more on storage options. Thank you, Guttermouth Granny, for that. Um, so part of it is me being hard headed. I went to Home Depot. All right, I went to Home Depot. They had the metal shelving units, like the industrial strength metal shelving. Um, Jim Shady White, thank you for the support. Got to do the work thing. Somebody's got to pay for Joe's Build Back Better, right? I appreciate it. So they had the commercial shelving units, and I got them down. You know what I'm saying? And I had them on. I guess they called a float or whatever that you push up front, and I was going to pay for it. And I get up front, and there are like 3 or 4 employees standing there talking, and nobody's in any lines, and there's no line open. They're like, it's self checkout only. So I was hard headed. This is one time it came back to haunt me. I was hard headed. I said, "Nah, I'll get it somewhere else." I just left them sitting, and I went out and I finally found some shelving units where they did the work and they checked you out. They were a little bit cheaper too, and I was like, "This is a great deal." They're the really thick plastic shelving units. So I wish that I would have went with metal. Quinn, good morning. Um, I wish I could take that moment back, because now we have so much stuff on ours, we have to position it in certain ways, otherwise it starts to bow in a little bit, and that wouldn't be a problem with the metal stuff. On top of that, with the organization, I wish that we would have been more organized to start with, because when we started, yeah, I know Appalachian says just say no to plastic shelves. These were really thick, and I'm thinking, "Oh, man, these will be just fine." But you start packing canned food on them, and it's not so fine. So that stuff has to go down on the bottom, and you get it. Melissa Lynn, thank you, and welcome to the coffee club. So, I wish we would have labeled stuff more, and when we first started, we just started buying and throwing in a corner basically, or throwing on a shelf when we got the shelves, and we weren't really organized about it. And so I wished I had a mulligan on that. And I think maybe a lot of preppers do that to start with, but who knows? Number 3, I would have bought a lot less survival food. I know that's weird coming from a prepping channel, right? We bought months and months and months and months worth of survival food in huge buckets. Now, sometimes we would catch it on sale, and that's the reason we bought it up. This was prior to the pandemic and also at the beginning of the pandemic. But what I came to realize is these meals are not going to provide everything that we need, and they take up quite a bit of space. If I could go back and do it all over again, I probably would have had enough for maybe 90 days. And then I would have pivoted off the survival food and went somewhere else. It was just, I don't want to say money wasted, but by the time you add a bunch of stuff in with like the Ready Wise, for example, you might as well just go ahead and prep something else. So I wish I would have done that, but you live and you learn. That's why I don't push survival food too much on this channel. I think you should have some, but too much, I mean, you're getting into needing a whole lot of water to prepare it at that point, and then on top of that, you have to supplement the stuff in. Number 4, I wish I had this one all over again. Prior to the pandemic, I wish I would have bought some more land, some decent land for homesteading because we are trying to pivot a little bit into homesteading, not full blown, but we're having to do it with limited space. And land has gotten so expensive. I wish that we would have jumped on that earlier. And number 5, I wish we would have started gardening seriously and canning seriously a lot sooner. Uh, Straight up, we were kind of scared of the pressure canning, and then the gardening, we just drug tail on it. I mean, there's no other way to put it. We should have been doing this 5 years ago, and we would help out a little bit here and there, and we would plan a little stuff here and there, but we really didn't get too serious about it. I wish I could trade some of the survival food, that we bought up in exchange for being able to go back and start gardening earlier, would be the way to put it. But anyway, that's the 5 that I made. Hopefully, I explained them well enough. Paradise Acres says, "No survival food here. Grow and raise your own survival food." I think some is a good idea. If the grid fails or a tornado comes through and the power's out for 2 weeks, something like that. Even MREs at that point are a good idea or survival food, but to stack like a year's worth, was stupidity on my part. I mean, I can see why the military would do it, but I don't know why we would need that much here at home. Um, Mike with the Cobra logo, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Um, so anyway, before we move on, does anybody else have any other mistakes or advice they would give newer preppers before we jump on something else? Trade up to lower your stock, Lord Eagle. I mean, we know a few people we could barter with, but they don't stock heavy on the survival food and stuff. They're more on silver and gold and stuff. What would you have grown if you had started? If we'd have started sooner, I probably would have started growing potatoes a lot sooner and more green beans and things. Those two seem to do well. Um, in our neck of the woods. Magic, what's going on, man? Don't listen to preppers on YouTube. What do they know anyway? Well, don't listen to people on YouTube exclusively anyway. There's a lot of great knowledge here on YouTube. Not saying there's a great knowledge specifically on this channel, but there are many other channels, folks. Um, but I will say that go out and do your own thing as well. Get information from different sources. Again, the books and the magazines. The magazines led me to buying a lot of stuff I didn't need, but there was a lot of stuff in there as well. There was a recipe for hardtack. That's the first place I ever saw a recipe for hardtack or ship's biscuits, and we tried it out, and you can't mess that up, man. So just a variety of different sources and YouTube as well. And look, when you're on YouTube, maybe hit like and subscribe. I'm just saying. Oh, sweet potatoes. Yeah, they grow well around here. And I probably would have went with some more lettuce this year because the stuff's outrageous right now. So anyway, before we get on the poll this morning, Beyond Meat, the company Beyond Meat, their stock has dropped 80% in the last year. It doesn't seem to be working well. There's a lot of it in my grocery stores, but it typically is on clearance. It'll sit there, nobody buys it, and once it hits a certain, once they lower the price level down to a certain level, people seem to scoop it up at that point. It's unaffordable and it's unedible pretty much. I've heard that heard some horror stories. I've never tried it just to give that away before we get to the poll, but supposedly there are certain ones now that they're trying to develop that I'm trying not to be gross here, that bloody taste or that, just they say certain if you're cooking a steak or you're cooking burgers on the grill, some people it's an internal thing, a mental thing. You're looking for that blood when you first put them on there, and they're trying to find ways now, I think, to fake that, certain chemicals and stuff, so I'm not interested. I kinda knew this ship was going down when, McDonald's pulled the McPlant. Remember, they were pushing the McPlant for a very long time, and all of a sudden, they Men in Blacked everybody like it never happened. Um, so I would consider this a win, but again, I like real food. Um, ever tried Possible and or plant-based meals? 14 say yes on that. 85% of you are with me, no. I have not tried it, have no desire to. Although I will say we're eating a lot of other fake stuff in our food, you know? It's probably no better for us. 1% say I've considered it. Um, so there we go. Let me see. I'd rather have the squirrel gravy. Dynamite, you always gotta take it to squirrel, don't you? Every single time. Let me check. Every single time with the squirrel. So, anyway, uh, really the big news this morning when I got up was Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. They are slashing 12,000 jobs. Microsoft announced, what was it, 11, 10 or 11,000 yesterday. We were talking about it. And now Alphabet is slashing 12,000 jobs. Folks, this ain't gonna stop. The tech sector and the startups are gonna get hit first. It's gonna have a trickle down effect. Think about all of the people that are losing their jobs. All right, and these are decent paying jobs. I don't know. I don't work for Google, but I would think they got sliding boards and stuff. I've seen There's a movie. I can't remember the dude's name that's in it now. Vince Vaughn, I think. But they have sliding boards and stuff. Man, looks like a playground up in there. And I would think that they paid those folks decently. And those people that are getting paid spend that money back into the economy. And now they're not getting paid anymore. So the more jobs that get slashed, the less money we have pumping back into Joe's Build Back Better economy. And it's just a trickle down effect all the way down. Six-figure jobs. Wow, Briar Patch. You have my attention. So, it's not going to stop. As people have less money for extracurricular, items, like big screens and things. As people have less money to vacation, this is going to affect other companies and potentially other employees. Tie time, thank y'all. I'm an angry beaver this morning. And some sage advice here. See the angry beaver. If you ever run into an angry beaver, run. Get out. Any way you can get out. If that thing is angry, go out through the window, whatever you got to do. Oh, yeah, y'all are still talking about squirrel. I was trying to pivot off of it. I'm gonna I'm be honest with you. Tan bunny hides. So, the you like Angry Beaver. Michael G says he likes Angry Beaver. Huh. Um, McBean, all those woke people losing their jobs, I guess it is a wake-up call. It is, and as we were talking about yesterday, McBean, these people are gonna have to humble themselves, I think, and maybe take on a job they really it really wasn't part of their life plan, you know, just to make ends meet or move back in with parents or whatever has to happen there. Um, but tip of the iceberg, we're going to see more of it. Wayfair, also, just to let y'all know, they announced a second round of cuts yesterday, 1,750 jobs gone. I'm not a huge fan of Wayfair anyway. Some of you know why, but I hate to see anybody losing their jobs. I hate to think that anybody's not going to be able to provide for their families, but there are other jobs out there. It's just a matter of you used to work for Google, now you may have to do factory work or something like that just to make ends meet. Y'all still talking about squirrel? Really? Really? Still talking about squirrel? It ain't that good, y'all, and I ain't even tried it. See what you did, Dynamite? Do you see? Kentucky Kevin's like the finger to Wayfair. Yeah. Would you Cogito, it's too early to go in the ditch. We still got stuff to talk about. Cogito said, "Would you rather eat squirrel or beaver?" I ain't eating squirrel. I'll just say that. So I apologize to the moderators um up front for this, but I have three things that I need to ask the chat this morning, okay? We haven't done this in a while. So the first thing is, what is the biggest shortage that you're seeing in your area? Biggest shortage. Yeah, you got it, Pilgrim. FJB. Um, Biggest shortage in your area. Here, it's pet food. Believe it or not, it's pet food. We have eggs, folks, but the eggs are astronomically priced. Nobody's buying them. I have powdered eggs from, I think it's Ogson Farms over there anyway. We don't eat a ton of eggs, to begin with, so we have eggs, but it's cat and dog food, specifically cat food. Um, Man, so many people are saying cat food and eggs as well. Medication, Dome Seeker says medication. Canning salt. Aloe Farms, thank you for bringing that up. Get your canning supplies now, because as canning season comes into play and spring hits and stuff, people are gonna be scooping that up, I think, because of the economy. A lot of people that have never canned before are gonna be jumping on the trend, I think. I'm in Chicago, nothing really. Not picking on Chicago, but I will go ahead and say that I did see a lot of places are locking their stuff up now. Walgreens especially, but in these urban areas and stuff, they're having to lock up stuff because of theft and everything. Number 2, brains. Yes, Chewbacca, brains. Number 2, what is the item that seems to have the highest inflation in your area? That would be eggs, folks, here. Eggs and lettuce. Those 2, well, I'll give them both look, I'll give them both an honorable mention because restaurants, fast food or otherwise right now, the prices are logo on everything. Um, and I guess that's due to the inflation and them having to buy the stuff, um, to make to make the food for you, but paper products, Debbie says. Ribeye, Jeremy Taylor. Piano Lady, beef. I'm doing this is kinda shady of me, but I'm doing this produce, Misty says, because some people will still leave comments and say there are no shortages. I'm not seeing any kind of inflation. So I would tell to these people, I would tell you, go back and look at the live chat. Look how many people across the country and even the world, perhaps, are experiencing inflation and shortages. I'm not making this up. Mark says butter. Mc, McBean says beaver. I can't help you with that, man. I really can't. Common sense shortages. Trolls. No shortage of trolls on YouTube. They're here, man. Uh, Bacon is too high for my blood, gutter mouth granny. It has went up. We still buy it, but we look for it on sale. Some of the stuff we've just marked off as we ain't buying it right now. Again, eggs, fresh eggs are on that list, but we have powdered if we need it. Dollar Tree has seeds and planters right now. Thank you, Jeanette. Mike says, everything here is tripled in price. Well, hopefully the people that leave these comments see your comment in chat because I don't know where they're living, but they need to stay there. If they've not seen shortages, they've not seen inflation, they're probably in Davos or that island where they kick. I can't remember where it's at now. Martha's Vineyard, right? Where they kicked all the refugees out. Maybe they're living there. Can't find butter, Vet GMA says. Squash, $1.50. I never thought I'd see the day, Romans. Squash is it's popular here, but it's kind of one of those no name produce. You used to be able to find this stuff everywhere, a quarter or something. Can't find pastas, Dragon Lady. Oh man. And finally, this one's going to be fun. Predict the next shortage. Try and predict the next shortage or the hyperinflated item. And we'll look back and see who's correct. Fish sticks says stand ready. Um, so I see a sugar, freedom. Yeah, Buckeye Patriot. I'm with you on that. Spices, Carolina says. Spice is another thing that has went up tremendously in price here. Chicken, beef, meat. I'm with Mike Line S on this. Ammo. I think ammo is going to be the next one that's either short or hyperinflated because of the coming Russian offensive and then the Ukrainian spring offensive. I think there's not going to be a ton of ammo to go around. And then, of course, they don't want you to have it anyway. But I could be wrong on that. Freedom seeds. There you go, Sean. Wheat products. We're the resistance prepping. Money and jobs. Flour, fresh foods. It is ticking up here as well. Jennifer Larson says gas is up 20 cents this week in Wyoming. It's ticking up here. It's probably only going up 10 cents every 2 weeks though. So it is making that upward trend, but very slowly. And what'll happen is we'll see $3, 3.50 a gallon gas, and we'll be like, oh man, it's high again. People don't notice it until it gets there. Orange juice, grains. Well, that's good to know, Ivan. I've seen ammo going down on price online with free shipping. That's good to know. Tires, Michael G says. Cops. Melissa Lynn says cops. We're having lots of break-ins and carjackings, no cops around. We touched on that a little bit yesterday. That's a national issue, a nationwide issue. I mean, there's certain areas that are well policed, well staffed. Most areas are way short on a lot of professions like teaching. The medical field is short, but law enforcement specifically, they're very short. And they've done it to themselves, quite frankly. All right, so we are going to jump in the chat now, and I'll get things rolling. I just saw yesterday that Russia has threatened Western countries, including the United States, if you send tanks, because a lot of countries have now greenlit tanks going over to Ukraine. They're saying it's going to take this war to another level. Um, so that'd be a good place to start, but we can talk about whatever y'all want to. Russia threatening the United States and Western countries, absolutely nothing new. They do this a lot. There was off the coast of Hawaii, they suspect that there's a ship over there. It's a Russian spy ship in international waters. They're not actually breaking the law, but they do think that it's a spy or an intelligence ship off the coast of Hawaii. So they're keeping an eye on that as well. Great point, Ballhead. They're tracking online ammo sales. Great point indeed. I would not advise stocking up a tremendous amount online because again, the suits and ties come to your door and they want to know why. This has actually happened to people here at the nation. Brandon A. Spy Submarine. No, it looked like a commercial vessel, but our intelligence agencies believe that it's actually gathering intelligence on the United States. Can't even buy ammo online here in California, Susie said. All sales are tracked, ammo, guns, food, etc. There are ways around tracking the at least the ammo parts, depending on where you buy them and in person and stuff like that. In my neck of the woods. Now, that may be totally different. I'm sure it is different for people in California and stuff. But I can go into, let's say, for example, I can go into a pawn shop right now. I can buy new boxes of ammo, not have to present an ID, pay cash, and I'm out. Now, if I'm buying a gun, totally different story. Background checks and stuff get involved. Ivan the Terrible says Patriot Nurse said there was gonna be a pasta shortage. So there's gonna be a shortage on anything that involves grains. There already is. It's gonna get substantially worse. This is one of the things that's gonna hit as the spring offensive, I believe anyway, hits in Ukraine. As a prepper, you should have plenty of pasta already on hand. I mean, that stuff, we got that stuff sitting around everywhere. We were buying it up when it was cheap. I mean, it's not very hard to store. It's not very hard to store long term. Um, it's a key staple for preppers, or at least it should be. My pasta stores are good, Guttermouth Granny said. And also, that's another example of if you have an Amish community nearby, or if you have an international market nearby, that may be a place to get both of those, hit both of those and look around. Some people do, some don't. We don't have many international markets in this area, but we have Amish all over the place, and they carry tons of pastas. Real pasta, not Bill Gates style pasta. Guttermouth Granny says, "I wish we had an Amish store." The way these work, and this is gonna sound weird. Some of them actually have online stores where you can buy and they ship. But the way these work, the Amish are producing everything that are inside these stores, or practically everything, but then they have Mennonites who do use limited technology, um, running the stores and doing the sales and things. So I'm not really sure how that works. I'm not Amish or Mennonite, but when you go in there, the folks working there are Mennonites, but then you will see Amish coming in and out, and they're very nice people. You have to speak to them. They don't often go out of their way to speak to you, but my wife, I got her a, chest for not a chest freezer, y'all preppers, but just a wooden chest, almost like a hope chest or something for Christmas at one of these Amish places, and the guy was extremely nice, and it was well built. Micah, battle box has filled up my closet. My wife is irritated because they are everywhere. You don't keep the boxes, do you? Just the gear and stuff? The new crate club, which I'm sitting this on today. I know that's bad, right? I'm sitting this on here. It's a banger. It came in a huge box. It was 18 pounds. So we'll review that. That video drops sometime tomorrow on Saturday. Manual pasta machines are fairly cheap. Ali Nunya. That's something we don't have. We don't have. Um, my wife is fascinated with the way people can hand make pasta. She watches videos and stuff, but I don't think she'll ever attempt it. Um, Terry, John, do you expect Atlanta to burn tonight? I don't know if it will. I know that some people are calling for it too. Um, it's one of those wait and see, and if you're in that area, make sure you're at home come dark. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but the Antifa riots and stuff, excuse me, the mostly peaceful protesting that we saw back in the day, it's been a few years. So they may handle it differently now. Maybe they've learned their lesson and they're gonna treat the children like children. Who knows? Well, that was a lucky find. Rebecca says, "I found one in Goodwill, a hand crank pasta machine." That's awesome. Every time I go to the Goodwill, I'm looking for do y'all remember the old laser disc players? They look like records when you put them in there. One of these days, I'm gonna get one from a Goodwill. I used to see them in there, and then all of a sudden they dried up, and I wish I would have gotten one back in the day. Our kitchen table is Amish, Backwoods says. It is an awesome built table. They have those too, brother, but they're expensive, because they're all handmade and everything. They don't play when it comes to the craftsmanship, and, they have this one that we have to drive a ways to get there, but it's a huge table. It's like a one of those farm size kitchen tables, and it's lacquered on top and stuff, and it's almost 10 grand for that thing. But I think it comes with chairs, if I'm not mistaken. What's going on in Hotlanta? Quinn says. There have been some calls to burn it down. Um, I forget the group's name. I don't think no, Phoenix, I don't think it was Antifa. I could be wrong on that. I don't think it was Antifa this time around. Again, yeah, Oklahoma Jim. This dealt with a police officer, I think, one police officer in particular. Yeah, so Uncle Charlie, thank you. Someone shot a cop, got shot back, and so now they're ready to burn the city down. Alan 1217, welcome to the live stream. Oh, yes, it was Antifa. Okay. Well, in that case, I guess we'll see if Atlanta's learned its lesson or not. But they're not a hate organization, folks. They're not extremists. You are, if you love the country, right? Not Antifa. They can call for stuff like this in the wide open. Nobody seems to do anything about it. Isn't that crazy? Peaceful arson. Yeah, that's another way to put it. Backwoods, they are banning you over here. They're trying to shadow ban your comments, man. We're having to clear them. Leon, thank you very much for that super chat. Leon Nellinger, I think I'm saying that correctly. Susie says they arrested one of the Antifa people in Atlanta the other day, and they were from Washington, and a bratty son of a multimillionaire. Yeah, they travel. That's the weird thing. They travel. They'll come in from a different state. They'll yell for the rights of the people that are being oppressed in the neighborhood. Then they burn a lot of important stuff down in the neighborhood, and then they leave. And these people wind up now they have less police protection. Now they don't have as many places to shop because they're still smoldering in ash. Um, what a joke that whole organization's a joke. Although I do miss what is his name? Grandmaster Jay. I kinda miss his videos. I think he's in prison now. I kinda miss I kinda miss old Grandmaster Jay's videos, him threatening half of the United States. Not that Joe Biden doesn't do it, but Grandmaster Jay just had more charisma when he did it. With the MC Hammer clothes and the shades on and stuff. Jennifer R, thank you and hello. Thank you for being here. Yeah, do y'all remember Grandmaster Jay? I didn't dream him up, did I? I'm pretty sure I remember him. He had, like, the silk shirts on like we used to wear in the '90s at sock hops and stuff. And remember all of his soldiers walking through the streets, and some of them they were holding weapons the wrong way and stuff like that, and "We're gonna take the fight to 'em, brother." Oh, never heard of him, Daniel. Look him up. Grandmaster J Antifa. I think he was affiliated with Antifa. I don't know. They got different names. Maybe it was the NFAC. They're all interconnected at the hip anyway. Yeah, he went after heavy duty country. I saw those, Kelly, and I figure when Grandmaster Jay gets out, he's coming after everybody's wood stoves first. Yeah, him and heavy duty country. I love heavy duty country. Um, Jam Master Jay. I don't know, something to that effect. I've seen a couple prepping content creators that have bid on the electric bikes. I don't have anything against the electric bikes. I just don't have any. I don't know a ton about them. Um, maybe they're good, maybe not. The creators seem to like them okay though. Amelia, great question. Thoughts on the meat industry vaccinating for COVID? So if you're talking about the food, that's worrisome. A lot of animals and stuff now, they're gonna try and get it in you no matter what. I think this is my opinion, Amelia. I think we've been down the road where they've tried the carrot, they've tried the stick. Now they're gonna try and get it into the food supply. They're gonna make sure this stuff is in everybody. Because again, in my opinion, they need their depopulation event. I do think we're in World War III, but I don't think that's enough to depopulate the amount of people that they need gone. Um, and I think that's probably being talked about behind the curtain at uh, at Davos this week. Kevin, thank you very much. Assistant manager at Dollar General, small trucks. Thank you for that intel, getting smaller trucks in at Dollar Generals. Where's your line in the sand? What do y'all think in chat? Where's your line in the sand? I think when freedom of speech is gone, when they take freedom of speech away completely, they come for Bibles. And I do think we're going to see that at some point. Um, that's a great question. Everybody has, you know, a different line in the sand, and that's part of the problem. If we all had the same line in the sand, this would have already been taken care of. Chewbacca says the Second Amendment, the First and the Second Amendments. Guttermouth Granny says they ain't coming for your Bibles. Dominique, well, I would have to disagree with that comment. You know, um, they've stripped the Bibles out of pretty much everything that they were involved with now. They have demonized Christians. I feel like, anyway, I feel like I'm not allowed to speak in certain places or on certain platforms about Christ without getting myself in trouble. It doesn't really stop me all that much, but, you know, people I don't know how to explain it, and if you're not a Christian, you don't understand, but you really feel like you're up against it, and it's felt that way for a while, you know, and I do think at some point they're gonna come for them, or they're gonna stop the sale of them at the very least or something like this, they're gonna be branded too extreme or something. Michigan lifestyle history repeats itself, I agree. Over and over. History repeats. That's what I'm thinking, Bama Jin. The Bible will soon be considered hate speech, and you see a lot of it. You see a lot of that chatter now, where people will cherry pick certain parts of the Bible, and they'll say, "Well, this is hate speech. This is hate speech," and they're not taking into consideration the stuff that was happening and the things that were being said that was commonplace for the time. They're not factoring in the historical period of time, that the writers were living in. They're taking what's in there and they're applying it to 2023. and it doesn't line up with what people may like to believe is fair in 2023. I like that. John Decker says, "It doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme from time to time." I like that. Dominique says the Bible has been revised over and over. Well, you can still get your hands on the original. You know what I'm saying? You can still get it, again, it goes back to primary source. The further you get away from something and the more times it gets rewritten, the further you're going to get away from anything. But you can still get the older stuff. It's out there. They do. They want it gone completely. Chewbacca, you're right. And people, and it's okay if you disagree with the statement. I'll close with this statement. It's okay if you disagree with this because to each their own. But in my opinion, you cannot have a fully satanic world if you still have this set of morals that are in a book and you have this hope. And as long as people have hope and they understand right from wrong and they have the morals, they may not be willing to bite or to buy in fully on the world around us. Silverback, thank you very much for that. So it is what it is. It's not for everybody, I guess, but it certainly has changed my life. I look at where I was at 20, 25 years ago, and now I'm looking at myself now, and I'm proud of where I'm at, folks. And I have very little to do with it, to be honest with you. Thank y'all very much for being here. Secret Squirrel, you just ain't gonna let me out the door. They will come for your Bibles. Not only that, but they will try to have you committed for talking to someone they can't see. We're sick people, it would seem. They've came for the Bibles in the past. You know, for the people that don't think this will happen, study the Roman Empire. Study the persecution that the Christians went through during that period of time. But you're not gonna be able to stop the spread of the gospel. You just can't do it. People are gonna do it behind closed doors. They're gonna do it. They're gonna find a way. So there you go. Thank y'all very much for being here this morning. If you're in the coffee club around 10ish, check the community section here on YouTube. There's going to be a link to the exclusive live stream, and you folks on Patreon will have the link over there as well. And I'll see some of y'all here shortly. The rest of you I'll see tomorrow. God bless.